On this week's episode, the world has fallen in love with Bill and Frank from The Last of Us. Frasier, the popular Cheers spinoff, is returning to its roots in Boston, kinda. More movies and projects filming in New England, and pickles at the movie theater. What's up with that? This is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie, but hey, some people prefer caviar. We'll get into it.
Let's go. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Hub on Hollywood. Jamie, as soon as I heard this story, I had to talk about it.
Okay.
Pickles, you know, you love them or you hate them, but apparently in Texas, they are a staple, with many people picking that as their number one movie theater menu item. However, many Texans are apparently surprised to learn that no one else does this.
Texas, you know, they're always burning their own way. They're, you know, forging their own path, I guess. Go big or go home, but pickles and you know, big giant fried pickles, right?
No, these are just normal pickles, like out of the bag. Apparently, normal pickles, normal dill pickles from the barrel of I don't know, pickle jar. According to SouthernLiving.com, Texans have been ordering pickles for decades, lovingly referring to them as movie theater pickles. And how it would work back in the day would be there'd be this big giant pickle jar, and then you'd go up to the cashier at the concession stand and say, "1 pickle, please," and they'd get their tongs, reach in, get it, put it in like this paper napkin of sorts, and you just go walking off into the movie theater crunching away. Yeah, the pickle doesn't seem like my go-to pick ever for a movie theater treat. I
mean, not just straight out of the jar. I could see maybe fried pickles. I'm happy that they're using tongs, that people are just not reaching their hands in there and
that must have been recently, yeah,
getting the juice everywhere. But I mean, that's strange. So that got me curious what other weird things people eat in different places. So apparently in Russia, if you're gonna go have some watch a film there anytime soon, caviar. Beluga caviar available at the concession stands. That seems a little fancy to me. And then apparently in Colombia, a norm of sorts, eating ants. I think these are roasted, spicy, cooked ants. I mean, protein?
Yeah.
But
yeah, you get tons of protein, but you get so many ants stuck between your teeth. That seems very not pleasant.
That's nuts. I mean, if you're going to go see a horror movie, maybe, but that doesn't sound appetizing to me. Other things, Hong Kong curry fish balls. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But also apparently people have snuck in some very interesting things, from rotisserie chicken to a full watermelon. And I think we've mentioned before, you have a history of breaking the law.
Yeah, us folk over at Casa de Rojas, we do our movie theater experience right back in the day. My mom would have this giant, like, gallon-sized purse that would be known as the designated movie purse, and anytime we would go there, we would always make a stop at the local Lucky's, which turned into an Albertsons, and just go down the candy aisle and just get our favorites. For, you know, back then you can get like so much for like just $10 and fill up that entire bag along with soda cans and whatnot. So it was a party. We knew how to do movie theaters right. So did you ever dabble in the illegal activity of sneaking in food?
Yeah. I don't know how against the law it is. I mean, it might get you in trouble with the staff, but no, I used to sneak things in with my
staff workers.
Exactly. I used to sneak things in with my friends all the time. But what I probably got in bigger trouble for is when I was very young, my father liked to sneak into the theater entirely. You know, the exit doors at the backs of the theaters?
Yeah.
We'd just sneak in the back there and just walk into whatever random theater. They didn't used to be locked. And now they are because of him.
There's also that strategy I heard also when now I never did this, but I had friends in high school who would go to the movie theater every now and then, and one would pay for a ticket, go in, and then open that back door and let everybody else come in through the back. So that is also a tactic that I think is getting harder to do with so many cameras around. And, you know, going back to the pickle talk, let's just end this with some Reddit users commenting about this. Some folks call them movie pickles. They were huge and in a gallon glass jar. And for $0.25, I would buy the juice in a cup and pour it over crushed ice. That is, Texas goes...
hard.
They do things different over in Texas.
I guess. What's the appeal of that?
No, thank you. So let us know what
no
your would you eat a pickle at a movie theater? Would you sneak in a pickle at the movie theater? Let us know down below in the comments. We are the Hub on Hollywood. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Hub on Hollywood. What's your go-to treat snack that you sneak in or buy legally inside the store? Let us know down below. Now, let's talk about what everybody has been talking about for the past week, and we will be going into spoilers for episode 3 of The Last of Us. So this is a warning, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen episode 3 for The Last of Us, go watch it right now. Pause this podcast, watch it, and then come back, because this is something that you don't want to be spoiled on. You want to experience it as you watch it.
Or just skip ahead a couple of minutes to our Boston movie talk right after this.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll try to put in a timestamp of sorts if we can. Maybe not. So yeah, proceed with caution. But let's just talk about episode 3 because, and again, spoilers. But this was after this episode ended, Jamie. I was broken. I was completely broken, but in a beautiful, tragic way. Yeah. We'll get into the details, but what was your initial feeling after watching this episode?
I was just like, what was that? Like, you know, there are so many movies and shows like this about apocalypses and zombies and, you know, and all of this thing. But I just felt it was just really lovely to be able to pause, you know, the murder and mayhem and chaos and get like a full length love story in the midst of all of that chaos, and to follow this couple, you know, through their existence and their passion and their love and respect and adoration for each other and how they get through it together. And it's just so sweet and simple but powerful. You know, in the midst of all of this, it's just rare to see a show that would do that. I think it's kind of a courageous thing to do in a storytelling and in a show like this. And I love it. I think it's different and refreshing. So I was just very pleasantly surprised that's what we got in episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Yeah, this one, in a world in the post-apocalyptic setting, there's so many tragic endings, to characters where you see so many loved ones losing a loved one or falling and losing it all.
In violent ways,
In violent, terribly sad ways. But this story of Bill and Frank, it leaves on such a tragically beautiful ending in a way, but very hopeful also. So something you don't see where everybody they can leave and end things on their own terms, happy and feeling fulfilled. And that was an incredible thing to see in this episode. Kind of recapping the chain of events for episode 3, we follow Joel and Ellie. They are going to the stash house about 10 miles west of Boston at a Cumberland Farms. So those of us over here in New England know what Cumberland Farms is. But after resupplying there, they leave on their walk. Ellie and Joel are bonding once again after the last episode when Tess passed away, was killed and was infected and destroyed by her own hand. Joel has some sort of animosity towards Ellie, and you can tell that he kind of blames her for Tess's death. And then that leads her to pretty much call him out, saying, hey, both of you agreed on what this mission was. You both accepted the risk of transporting me from one location to another. Don't blame me for what happened. And then through their walk, you see Joel and Ellie, they're getting warm again towards each other and bonding more. And then you kind of see that forgiveness from Joel. Mm-hmm. But after resupplying, they run into a mass grave where innocent, non-infected people were killed by the military because they were going to this safe area. But once that safe area gets filled, instead of letting these people go and fend for themselves, the military kills them because the dead do not get infected. And then we go to this flashback showing families from this neighborhood in Lincoln being hauled off. But a lone survivor is left there, and that person is Bill, who's played by Nick Offerman. He eventually meets Frank, played by Murray Bartlett, and who falls into one of Bill's traps. That's when the story really picks up between these two characters. From first uneasiness and being very unsure about this new stranger who came into Bill's life, to this bonding relationship between them both, and then you see time travel, time jumps, and really quick, Jamie, in the very beginning, after Bill cooks for Frank, and you start seeing them bond over this piano, and then eventually they embrace each other passionately. What was going through your head during that first sequence?
Well, I thought it was really Nick Offerman. I love him. He's such a phenomenal actor. This seems to be a character that's totally in his wheelhouse, a prepper, a loner who takes this empty neighborhood and makes it his fortress, and he's very self-sufficient, and he likes being alone. And he seems to be coping very well with this pandemic, or with this outbreak. And it's not until he meets the character Frank that he starts to realize just how desperately lonely he is, and how, in fact, despite believing to the contrary, he actually does need someone else. And I think it's just played so beautifully and so subtly by Nick Offerman. And these two personalities, the embodiments of these two characters are done so well. You've got the happy-go-lucky Frank, and you've got the curmudgeon-y and cautious Bill, and how Frank pulls those that beautiful side out of Bill. I've never seen Nick Offerman portray a gay character, and it was just wonderful. It was so great. The love between them, the chemistry between them, and how that progresses over the years. I loved it. It was just so well done.
Yeah, I like how each Bill and Frank taught each other different things and gave each other different experiences. Like, for example, funny thing is, after they first meet and they have their passionate love scene, and Frank says, I'm going to be staying here for several more days. I'm not a slut or something like that. So I'm going to be here for a while. And then it flash forwards to them being happy. Then it flash forwards 3 years with Frank storming out the house mid argument with Bill, saying, "You know what? Like, this is our street, and you've done everything you can to protect it and set it up. But this is also my place, and I want to make it beautiful. I want to make it pretty. I want to make I want to continue living, pretty much." Mm-hmm. And that's something that we haven't really seen in other post-apocalyptic shows or movies, like that desire to normalize things and to paint the house, to cut the grass, to take pride and to appreciate the finer things in life. It's not all just doom and gloom. Mm-hmm. And surviving. Like, you need to live as well. And so we see the neighborhood getting beautiful. Frank ends up meeting Tess over the shortwave radio, and then invites Tess and Joel over for lunch to hang out because, they want friends. They want to meet the neighbors. And then we see that scene where there was a raid on the compound, and Bill is out there shooting at them. But Frank, he's also very quick to get a gun. And so you can see that Bill's taught Frank how to survive, and they've gone this far by working together. And then Frank does the other end, caring for Bill and showing him there's still things you can appreciate and live and love with. And so we see that transition from when Bill is shot. After Bill, you think Bill may be dead, but Frank, rescues him. And then we flash forward another, 10 years, mm-hmm. and then we see who we initially think is Bill in the wheelchair, but turns out to be Frank, and he has this degenerative disease that isn't identified, but you can tell that he's getting worse and worse gradually. And so they make the decision to, Frank decides that, you know what, this would be my last day on Earth. And seeing Bill's reaction, played by Nick Offerman, that's when my eyes started tearing up. Just that idea of where Bill was like, you know, you are my main job. Protecting you is my purpose. And losing you, it's soul crushing, and you could feel that in the moment. You could feel everything that Bill and Nick Offerman, what they were expressing on their face without words. That was an incredible, like, gut-wrenching scene for me. Then we see the rest of the day play out.
It's great writing. It's great acting. Just like you said, you feel everything that they are feeling. It was just so well done. And it was their last day, and Frank convinces Bill to give him one last perfect day. They go down to the shop, they get dressed, they get married, they have a wonderful meal.
Beautiful.
And then he asks Bill to crush up all the pills and put it in his drink so he can drift off to sleep.
In Bill's arms.
And he notices that the wine is already poisoned.
And Bill has decided that today will be his last day also. Again, basically saying, you are the reason I live, to protect you and to care for you. And, you know, this isn't a sad story about somebody committing suicide. This is a happy ending to people who have lived fulfilled lives, who are going out on their own accord. Mm-hmm. And the one quote that I loved was when Bill said, "I was never afraid of anything until I met you." And it's giving me feelings right now even. It was just a beautiful sequence. And the funny thing is that Frank wasn't upset that Bill himself had also drank wine that could have, sedated a horse. Mm-hmm. And they just accepted each other, and they both went to their bedroom to fall asleep together in each other's arms. I don't know if it's right to say it's tragically beautiful or beautifully tragic, but it was beautiful in a gut-wrenching way, in a visceral way. And then afterwards, we see Joel and Ellie come upon the compound because that's where they were going for supplies. And then they read this note. Pretty much, Bill was telling Joel, you know, we are protectors. Continue to do what you need to do to protect the person you love and to protect Tess. Of course, Tess has passed away, but you see, like, this message is sent and ingrained in Joel's mind that now Ellie is the person that he is tasked and in charge and who he wants to be a protector for. Mm-hmm. And then and so that was lovely. And then that final scene of the window panning, because they said, you know, they left the window open so the place wouldn't smell. And I love the fact that they didn't show any remains or anything. It's just a beautiful window watching Joel and Ellie walk away, and you just know that Bill and Frank lived their lives to the fullest together, and made the most of it together. Beautiful. It's already being talked about as being one of the best episodes or best shows of the year.
The soundtrack, too, great parallelism
Incredible.
In the beginning with the song that they're playing on the piano together, that Bill and Frank are playing on the piano together. And it's the same song that Ellie and Joel are listening to on the radio in the truck as they're driving away. And, you know, It sort of symbolizes that now it's sort of that kind of relationship is now transferring over to them. Now Joel has his person that he needs to protect with all of his life, and it's just great symbolism, just so very well done. And it's a risk, James, because I think that a lot of people want shows like this to just be wham bam, thank you man, like lots of violence and gore and action, and it's a risk to slow down and tell a story like this, but I think that they knocked it out of the park, and it was so worth it, and it was so enjoyable to watch. Yes, there were tears on this end as well, and I mean, there are so many love stories out there that just shove it down your throat, right? And it's just overly wordy, and it's overly like, look at this, and it's...
Or not well done at all.
Or not well done at all. I mean, and this just shows you that it's show, don't tell, right? And to have these incredibly talented actors and the talented writers that are working on this production, you know, come together and create a story that makes you feel that deeply and strongly for, for these people that you might not otherwise connect with. Just bravo to all of them. I hope that there are awards, in the future for all involved. Excited about the next episode of The Last of Us, which is coming out later tonight, which we are recording Sunday night. So we'll see how things pan out for the rest of this series. But Pedro Pascal, as I've said in the past, right? Amazing. And they've got this great recipe for him. Cute sidekick, Pedro Pascal protector. Can't go wrong. We're going to get more Mandalorian. Looking forward to more Mandalorian from him. I just watched the season 3 trailer last night. I was at a hockey game. You wouldn't expect that, but it was Star Wars night at the Railers game in Worcester, and they were showing the trailer to a Mandalorian season 3. But that's not all we need to tell you about Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. He's been killing it on every level in The Mandalorian, here in The Last of Us, and he also killed it last night on Saturday Night Live, and it was really fun. There were really, I think there were more hits than misses, and there were a couple really good ones, including one called "Girl from Temecula." If you haven't seen that one on SNL's YouTube page, check out that skit because that was a really fun one. And the fun thing is you can tell Pedro Pascal was having a great time on the set. He was like, there are moments where he's like laughing in the scene, having a great time, smiling. There was also a clip that was released where it shows the backstage where, as the announcer's announcing all the actors and SNL cast and who the host is, you just see him like jumpy and being very pumped up in the back, smiling and having a really great time. So Pedro Pascal, he can do drama, he can do horror, he can do comedy. This guy, he's a real talent. So we need more, is what I'm saying. We need more Pedro Pascal.
I agree with you there. I'm not going to argue with that. Love you, Pedro.
Pedro, we know you listen to the show, so please hit us up. You can reach us out at Hub on Hollywood. Also, our email, hubonhollywood@gmail.com. If you're also another actor who lives in New England, in Massachusetts, and whether you're in front of the camera, whether you're behind the scenes, or you're an extra background actor, reach out to us because we would love to talk to you and talk about your experience of filming, shooting here in Massachusetts, in New England, where business is booming. So you can find us at Hub on Hollywood on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So we want to get you on the Hub on Hollywood. Reach out.
Yeah, and speaking of booming, James, like that's a really great word for it. And there's a ton of projects that had been filming over the last year or so that are coming soon. And we just wanted to talk about some of them. Sony Marvel's Spider-Man spin-off, Madam Web, that had been shooting in various locations from Worcester to Weymouth, starring Dakota Johnson and Adam Scott, where we suspect that he might be a young Ben Parker, but with, not confirmed yet. Or is it? I don't remember. But that has had its release date pushed back to February of next year. February of 2024. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that one. There's a number of other great ones. Boston Strangler, that's going to be debuting on Hulu in March, starring Keira Knightley. The true crime drama about two South Shore female reporters who broke the story because no one really cared about what was happening to these women. And this was the early 1960s, so that was a great production to have in town. Lots of period pieces, old-timey cars, Keira Knightley. Wonderful. That's going to be coming out in March on Hulu. And a number of other great ones. The Collaboration, starring Paul Bettany of The Avengers, about Andy Warhol, about the friendship between artists Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat. So that's going to be a fun one. Oh, and Finest Kind. So Finest Kind, which we've spoken about before, starring Jenna Ortega, Tommy Lee Jones, Ben Foster, Toby Wallace, about these two brothers who get tangled up in organized crime, was filmed mostly in New Bedford, It does not yet have a release date, but we're hoping that that's going to be coming out later this year. A number of other ones to look forward to. We've got Paul Giamatti's The Holdovers, Liam Neeson's Thug. He's, again, a guy with a certain set of skills who's going to, help his family. In Situate, they were shooting an untitled novelist project. And Canton's Bill Burr stars in something called Leo. All of these that are going to be coming to theaters soon that have been filming. We have been bringing you their casting calls. We have casting calls at the end of every episode of The Hub on Hollywood because we want to get you on the big screen. We want you in movies like Challengers, starring Zendaya, that is going to be released August 11th of this year. And all of these incredible projects. Maestro, starring Bradley Cooper as legendary conductor and composer Leonard Bernstein, who was born here in Lawrence. That's going to be out on Netflix later this year. So just so many projects.
A lot of stuff.
And a lot of stuff that is still yet to come. It's a little bit slow right now because we're in the dead of winter and it was negative 33 degree, wind chills yesterday.
Crazy.
The other day. So, we probably are going to be picking up more in the spring, but we do still have some casting calls for you today, so stick around at the end of this episode. We will have those latest casting calls for you. Wow, Hollywood East, man. We aptly named.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing that we are not getting or filming over here in Boston, which I think definitely should be because of our booming industry, a Frasier revival that's set for Paramount Plus later this year is going to have Kelsey Grammer reprising his role as Dr. Frasier Crane. However, instead of being based in Seattle or Chicago, we see Frasier Crane coming back to Boston. That's right, Frasier, the revival, is going to be set in Boston. However, it's filming on a soundstage in Los Angeles.
Boo, come on.
Boo. Boo. And so, like everything that is getting a reboot or a revival, Frasier, of course, is a spin-off of Cheers, which was also set in Boston, but was filmed in Los Angeles. However, I do think that we may have a chance of seeing Kelsey Grammer on Beacon Street in and around Boston if they decide to shoot some exterior shots, which they did do on Cheers. So fingers crossed.
No, absolutely. Come on. Everything else is filming here. If you're going to be set in Boston, then by golly, darn it, you should be here. I think this was my complaint with The Last of Us, too, where we were nitpicking. The first 3 episodes have been set in Massachusetts. First, them, going through an apocalyptic, Boston, trying to get to the State House. And, now they're 10 miles outside of Boston in Lincoln, Massachusetts. People have been making fun of this, too, online. I've seen a couple of memes where it's Pedro Pascal and the caption says 10 miles outside of Boston and he's on the moon. Right? Because the geography just hasn't been making sense. And that was all filmed in Canada. But, we have such a great film credit here, and we have so many projects coming that I will beat that drum. Just come down here, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get her done. You want to walk through the streets of Boston and see the beautiful brick buildings and all of our historic locales and go visit your friends at Cheers? Just come on down here.
Where everybody knows your name.
Where everybody knows your name, Mr. Frasier Crane. So let's do that. So I'll keep beating that drum, but I can see why they're mostly going to be filming in sound stages. So they can comfortably, I guess, get away with it for the majority of what they need, I suppose.
Now, you know who I would love to see filming over here, down here in Massachusetts, in Boston? A Mr. Dave Bautista. And I think it's about time. Dave Bautista, of course, from Guardians of the Galaxy, from Blade Runner 2049, as well as many other great movies. And he's also in a new M. Night Shyamalan movie. I think it's called The Cabin, 4 People in a Cabin, something like that. But Dave Bautista, he recently made some more news talking about how he has never gotten a single offer to do a rom-com. Now, Dave Bautista, very muscly, very, he seems very brutish, but but I think he has said himself that he's a softie inside. And he says, you know what, I may not be your typical rom-com lead, and I may be a little rough around the edges, but he still has high hopes, and he is searching. And that brought me to my next point of discussion. I think Dave Bautista may be one of, if not the best, wrestler turned actor out there. And I know he has people to compete with. Of course, John Cena, I think, who also, I think, does a very good job. And there's also the big moneymaker, blockbuster guy, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is in everything and everywhere all at once. But I think Dave Bautista, I think talent-wise, he may be the most gifted. You know, just looking at Knives Out, Glass Onion, he was in that one as well, too. He killed it. No pun intended.
No, he did. Right. Did he do it? And he had a very attractive counterpart girlfriend in that movie. Whiskey. And no, I love Dave Bautista, and I think that he's proven that he can be the softie. He was in a movie called My Spy. Right, with the little girl, and he was like a Secret Service agent or something like that, and he just did really well with her, and that was very sweet. I mean, he's in Dune, he's in, obviously he's Drax in all of the Guardians of the Galaxies and Avengers. He's just got a very unique look, and they typecast in Hollywood, which is, he's a very big guy. He's the protector, the warrior. I don't know. Could you see it? I know that you just mentioned, yes, he's a phenomenal actor. Well, what about The Rock?
I think
you really think that he's got more of that, the emotional chops and the range than The Rock? Dwayne?
Oh, I think so. Now we all love The Rock. We all love Dwayne. We're all big fans. Not taking anything away from him, but I will say that in the fewer movies that Dave Bautista has been in compared to The Rock, he has shown more emotion, whether that was through his verbal prowess or his facial features. And so I think he is very talented, and he does a lot with very little. And I think he even said that he doesn't want to be the next Rock. He wants to be his own guy, his own artist, and be known for his acting chops. Again, nothing to take away from The Rock. Maybe The Rock will surprise me down the road, but as of right now, based off the filmography, I would say that Dave has shown much more range than The Rock has in a shorter period of time. That's my hot take.
Yes. Yeah. No, now that you mention it, yeah, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is pretty much the same character in almost everything that he does.
And he loves jungles. He did the Jungle Cruise. He did Jumanji. He also did another one with the gorilla. I'm sure that zoo scenery was kind of like jungle-ish. And so he loves jungles, and I think brown shirts is a very common attire for his character.
With the buttons popped open at the top, of course.
Yeah. Now, I know The Rock also listens to the Hub on Hollywood, so Rock, if you want to come on the show and hash this out, please reach out to us, hubonhollywood@gmail.com.
I think that David Bautista is doing a great thing right now, though. He's putting it out into the universe. He's kind of challenging the why are we going to typecast? It doesn't only happen to, women or, it happens to everyone in Hollywood. So, yeah, he wants a rom-com. He's putting it out there. I hope that the universe delivers and that we can see him in a rom-com very soon.
All right. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Who would we pair him up with? Like a Kate Hudson kind of person, or like let's see, like a Reese Witherspoon character type?
No, I'm thinking like, bombshell brunette type.
Bombshell brunette. Well, let us know. Who do you match up? Yeah. Who would you match Dave Bautista up with in a rom-com? Comment down below at Hub on Hollywood. Lastly, wrapping up this show, before we get to what we're watching, the 90s show, the reboot, the spinoff from that 70s show, has officially been renewed for a second season on Netflix. We did review the series, I think, a couple episodes ago, and though I would not say it's on the same level as that 70s show, because that was really great, that 90s show does come close, and it does have a lot of good things going for it. So I'm happy with the cast, the return of Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp, as well as, of course, the original cast members. And so if you haven't watched the 90s show, if you like the original, I think you'll have fun time with this. Not the best thing out there, but it's a fun reboot. So that is getting season 2 on Netflix.
It was very entertaining. I mean, there were some laugh out loud moments, and
I was laughing several times out loud.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a good, entertaining little show. So happy to hear it's coming back, which
Excellent.
leads us into what are we watching? What should we be watching? James, before I launch into my rant about this new show that I really love, anything that you're watching?
So I recently watched, I'll go through this very quickly, but the movie Moonstruck with Cher and Nicolas Cage came out in 1988 and is an Oscar-winning performances all around, apparently, from the movie garnered 3 Oscars, including 1 Best Actress, and I think that went to Cher. But my wife and I watched Moonstruck because, you hear about it's such an iconic film of the past, and the acting is great, and the story is fantastic. Like, okay, we're in for the night. Let's watch it. Moonstruck, more like Moon Suck. My goodness, this is not a good movie. I think a lot of people have nostalgia goggles, or I don't know what they were doing, because a lot of great movies came out in '88. This was not one of them. I'm sorry, that's my hot take. Characters are deeply flawed all around. The acting, like everyone's screaming at each other. It was just nothing really good going for it. I'm sorry, that's my hot take for Moonstruck.
I mean, cocaine is a hell of a drug, and that was what fueled the majority of the '80s. So I don't know what anyone was thinking back then, but I can totally see that.
I would not. That one I would not recommend watching.
All right.
I would recommend, though, however, this movie that came out in 2003 starring George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones, Intolerable Cruelty. I won't go into the specific details or spoilers, but basically it's about a beautiful gold digger who matches wits with a shrewd Beverly Hills divorce lawyer who is increasingly attracted to her. It's a fun movie. I would recommend it. It's directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, the Coen brothers. We had never seen this movie, so we just decided to put it on, and it's a fun watch. So don't watch Moonstruck, watch Intolerable Cruelty.
Also, don't watch Moonfall. That was awful as well. What is it with the moon movies? But if you do want to watch something that is romantic, that is innocent, but at the same time intriguing, and this wonderful little novela that I have discovered on Netflix, first debuted in 2021. It's called The Cook of Castamar, or La Cocinera de Castamar. And it's just wonderful. I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in, but it's about, in 1920s Madrid, this duke who's madly in love with his wife dies, and he's inconsolable. He's in 2 years, he's been grieving for 2 years, but now the king wants him to return to court, and he's forced to come back. And this very talented cook who has her own demons comes to work at Castamar, at his estate, at his castle. And they begin to bond and form this very innocent and beautiful relationship. And all the while, in the midst of all of this intrigue and politics and violence and sex but the relationship between the two of them is very pure. And it's really lovely. And it's really wonderful, and it's nice to watch. I like redeemable characters. I don't want to see a show full of bad people doing bad things that I can't really connect with. But I think that the lead of this show, played by Michelle Jenner, she's just so captivating and lovely. And it's a very well-paced show. I think the drama is realistic. It's not over the top. And Roberto Enriquez plays the Diego de Castamar, the Duke. And it's just really lovely. I highly recommend it if you're looking for, a slow burn, a lovely little romance in the midst of, a period piece and all of the drama that surrounds that. I recommend La Cocinera de Castamar, or The Cook of Castamar, available on Netflix.
All right, que rico. Sounds good.
Sabrosos. No, what am I? Sabrosura. That's what I was trying to get. That's the word I was trying to get out.
Well, let us know what you're watching right now. Thank you so much for watching us here on the Hub on Hollywood. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please hit like, please hit subscribe, hit that bell so you can get notifications. If you are listening to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio, the iHeartRadio app, give us a 5-star review. Really helps out. And again, you can always find us on all the social media platforms at Hub on Hollywood. But as always, Jamie, a jam-packed episode with some great stuff. And can't wait to watch more of The Last of Us and be further broken mentally and emotionally by this amazing series.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. So we will see what comes next. So until then, folks, stick around after the credits for our casting calls, and if not, we will go ahead and see you next week. Thanks for being with us. Adios.
Adios. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And welcome to the most amazing part of the Hub on Hollywood, right? The part where we are going to get you in the movies, we're going to get you in the TV shows, and sometimes some commercials. There's a number of really great active casting agencies in New England, so we always recommend that you sign up for those, from Boston Casting to CP to Slate to Kendall Cooper. So many great casting agencies. Go ahead and look those up for yourselves, sign up to get those notifications, and we will bring the biggest ones to you here on the Hub on Hollywood. So today we are going to be kicking off with CP Casting in Boston University Films. They are looking for actors. Many of the universities here, if you're an actor trying to break in, one of the best ways that you can do that is by acting and starring in a lot of these student films. You make great connections, you get good content for your reels, so this is always a great opportunity for someone who's really serious about acting. So CP Casting is looking for adults, teens, and child actors ages 8 to 80, union or non-union, any ethnicity, for this year's crop of films out of Boston University. They would like you to go ahead and send in your information if you'd like to be considered for the slate of films that are being put together this year. This is unpaid work, just so you know, but you do get a copy of the finished footage, like I mentioned, for your reel. They had an open casting call in September, so you do not need to attend this one if you did that in September. But they're looking for some fresh faces. So you are going to want to send your resume and headshot to Carolyn and Mara at pickmanactorslab@gmail.com. So that's Pickman, Pickman, actorslab@gmail.com. And if you are chosen from your headshot and your resume, you'll be invited to another open casting call later in February, later this month. So, like I mentioned, that's a really great opportunity for people who are serious about acting and need content for their reels. So that's out of CP Casting. Good luck to you on that one.
Yeah, good luck. Boston Casting, they are looking for someone for a commercial they are shooting. They are looking for people of Haitian descent and or with a Haitian accent for this upcoming project. They're looking for those 60 years old and older, non-union gig, shooting via Zoom. So apparently this commercial will involve some Zoom takes, but from home via Zoom, between February 23rd and the 27th, so sometime between those dates, that will be the shoot time. BostonCastingCommercials@gmail.com. Send your current photo, your contact information there. In the subject line, put Haitian / your name. BostonCastingCommercial@gmail.com.
All right. And Slate Casting looking for non-union extras for a shoot on Valentine's Day or the day after. Must be local to New England. It looks like they're looking for anybody. So if you are interested in submitting for this commercial opportunity, you have until late Monday afternoon, February 6th, to submit that. So you're going to want to send your name, contact information, city or town you live in, current photos, both close-up and full length, and your availability for February 14th and 15th to slateselftape3@gmail.com.
Yeah, sign up, get yourself involved with any of these projects, whether that be a movie, a TV show, or a commercial. And you know what? If you don't happen to meet any of the descriptions or requirements for these projects, go ahead and tell your friends and family. Maybe some of them are closer to these descriptions and the needs of these casting agencies. So share them a link for the Hub on Hollywood. Tell your friends, tell your family. And until next time, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. We'll see you there.
Bye.